Down in Libreville for the start of a widely anticipated tour. He's sat down with Gabon's president, Ali Bongo, in the presidential palace. Of course, he's here for the One Forest Summit, that summit that's looking at ways to protect the environment, to protect biodiversity. But it would be fair to say that there's been mixed reaction amongst the local people with whom we've been speaking here in the run-up to this visit. There are those who have applauded his environmental efforts. Others have criticized him for coming during an election year. And I think it's fair to say we haven't quite seen the same amount of enthusiasm that you would expect to see for the arrival of a French president in this part of the world compared with, for example, 20 or so years ago. So the other thing you have to bear in mind, too, is that this visit comes as France continues to lose influence in the face of competition from countries like Russia and China. So it will be interesting to see whether or not President Macron can do anything to reverse that tendency, not just here in Gabon, but also in Angola, in Congo, and in Democratic Republic of Congo over the next few days.
Hi, I would love to tell you how France exploits Africa, but that'll be in the next video. You're ready to come to Prime Vlog. Now, we talk about Africa and Africa alone. Not a new thing that France has been coming to Africa, but it's becoming too frequent. Why? Because they are losing their stronghold. Why will a country just sit down to decide to exploit another country? Is that not wickedness? Now, the fact that France mostly depends on Africa for its uranium, gold, but the way France loots Africa is bad. France is one of Africa's biggest problems, causing wars in Nigeria and supporting different parts. During the Nigerian Civil War, France was one of those who supported the breakaway sections. Now, for the reason, just for the oil, it just wanted Nigeria to break apart so that it would have access to the oil the way it loots Gabon's oil. The truth is that France has nothing. It's just exploiting and exploiting and exploiting. All what it has comes from Africa. At least one of them have been sincere to say that if not for Africa, France would have been one of the third nations, not even among the world power. So France should be grateful to Africa and stop its silly oppression and kind of faking policies that have. As Africa, I would say our leaders are just one of our biggest problems. They are the biggest people that kept us in this mess. If they would just be truthful to themselves and forget about this so-called European Western power that are just drilling us. We see them and feed them and they just loot us dry, take everything we have and just leave us empty. But they will not. Obviously, that's where they get their strength and their help from, just to continue this wicked deal. So, I urge all Africans and our leaders to be truthful. It's time we'll give up all this Western stuff. Because they are not ours. We should be real to ourselves. It's only when we become real to ourselves, that's what we achieve the African we dream of and the African we once have. Not the African that we are being colonized to be.